Okay, just picture it for a second. You're in that big planning meeting. The data science team is throwing around words like loss function and concept drift. Are you nodding along like you know exactly what's up? Or are you maybe, just maybe, secretly trying to Google those terms under the table? Hey, no judgment. This is your crash course challenge. Let's see how you do.
First up, we've got round one AI product fundamentals. We're going to start with the absolute bedrock concepts, the stuff every single PM working in AI has to have completely locked down. You ready?
So, first question, what is the single biggest difference between a traditional product and an AI product? Here's the key. Traditional software is deterministic. You click a button, the same thing happens every single time. It's all pre-programmed. But AI products? They're probabilistic. They use data to make educated guesses, which means their outputs are all about likelihoods, not certainties. All right, next up, a real classic. What are the three pillars of product management? You know them. It's business, technology, and user experience. Now, for an AI PM, keeping these three in balance is like a high wire act. The tech is way more complex, and a user experience can feel like pure magic, or if the model's off, a complete and total failure. What about OKRs versus KPIs? This one trips people up all the time. That it's actually pretty simple. Just think of it this way. OKRs, objectives and key results. That's your destination on a map. It answers, where are we trying to go? And KPIs, key performance indicators, those are the gauges on your car's dashboard. They're telling you, how are we doing on the way there? You absolutely need both to get where you're going. Okay, round one is in the books. Now that we've got the basics down, let's get a little more technical in round two, core machine learning concepts. It's time to pop the hood and see what makes this whole thing run. All right, pop quiz for you. Can you name the three main types of machine learning? They are supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. So supervised is like teaching with flashcards. You're giving it labeled examples. Unsupervised is like letting a toddler loose in a room to just figure out patterns on their own. And reinforcement learning? Well, that's all about trial and error, learning from rewards and punishments. Now, let's talk about a term you literally cannot escape these days, generative AI. What is it really? Simply put, it's AI that doesn't just analyze stuff that already exists, it creates brand new, original content. And the most famous example on the planet, of course, is something like ChatGPT, which can whip up an email or even write some code completely from scratch. Okay, here's a slightly more technical one for you. What is a loss function? I know, it sounds super complicated, but the idea is actually really straightforward. It's just a score that tells the model how wrong its last prediction was. The entire goal of training a model, its whole purpose in life, is to get that loss score as close to zero as possible. It's the guide that teaches the model how to get better. You are crushing this. Let's move on to round three, where we go from theory to the real world, building and evaluating models. This is where, as a PM, you really have to roll up your sleeves. Now, let's clear up two terms that sound similar but are totally different. Model drift versus concept drift. Model drift is when your input data changes, so maybe your user base is suddenly much younger than it used to be. Concept drift is sneakier. That's when the actual meaning of what you're trying to predict changes. Like the definition of what counts as a fraudulent transaction might change as criminals get more creative. So, your team built a classification model. How do you know if it's any good? Well, you need the right tools, the right metrics. Accuracy tells you how often it's right overall. Precision asks, of all the times we predicted yes, how often were we correct? Recall asks, of all the actual yes cases, how many did we catch? F1 score kind of smushes precision and recall into one number. And AUCROC, that just tells you how good the model is at telling the difference between the two classes. Look, as a PM, you don't need to do the math, but you have to know what these mean to talk intelligently with your team. You're going to have a million ideas for AI projects, so how do you prioritize? A fantastic tool for this is the RICE framework. It makes you get systematic. R is for reach. How many people are we going to hit with this? I is for impact. How much will it affect each of them? C is for confidence. How sure are we about those first two numbers? And E is for effort. How much work is this going to take? It's a simple way to make sure you're working on the most valuable stuff first. Now, here is a super important point for any PM coming into the AI space. Why is Agile not always a perfect fit? Well, think about it. Traditional Agile loves predictable tasks you can neatly slot into a 2-week sprint. AI development, though, it's messy, it's exploratory, it's research, and you just can't always guarantee a breakthrough in a fixed time box. Moving on to round 4, data and responsible AI. You've heard it a million times. If AI models are the engine, data is the fuel. And with that kind of power comes a whole lot of responsibility. All right, let's talk about the serious stuff, governance. As a PM, you have to be aware of the big data privacy laws, like GDPR over in Europe and CCPA in California. And this connects directly to this idea of explainability. I mean, why does it matter so much? Because if you can't explain why your model made a decision, you can't build trust with your users, you can't prove you're compliant with the law, and you'll never get buy-in from your stakeholders. It's non-negotiable. Okay, one of the biggest, scariest pitfalls in all of AI is something called sample bias. This is what happens when your training data doesn't actually reflect the real world. Maybe it underrepresents a certain demographic, for example. The result? You get a model that works badly or even unfairly for that group. The fix is simple to say, but hard to do. You, the PM, have to champion the effort to actively diversify your dataset.
We're here, the final round, strategy and go to market. This is where we take all that techie stuff we've been talking about and connect it back to what really matters, creating business value and launching a product people actually want to use.
So how in the world do you price an AI product? Well, a few common models are usage-based, where you pay as you go, tiered, where you unlock more power at higher price points, and sometimes even outcome-based, where the price is literally tied to the results you get. But you know what? No matter which model you choose, it all comes down to trust. And one of the best ways to build that trust is to show your work, be explainable, and give users a big red button to override the AI when they think it's wrong. And here is maybe the most important rule when you take your product to market. Nobody, and I mean nobody, cares about your sophisticated neural network architecture. They just don't. They care about outcomes. So don't sell the complex feature, sell the simple benefit. This saves you 2 hours every single day, is 1,000 times more powerful than talking about your model's F1 score. And this slide brings it all home. Check out this example OKR. The objective is a clear business goal: reduce customer churn. Simple. Now, key result 1 is a model metric. Let's improve our accuracy. That's for the data science team. But key result 2, that connects the model's performance directly to a business outcome. Let's actually reduce our churn rate by 10%. That right there, that's the connection every single AI PM has to make. So, after all that, what's your cheat sheet? What are the key things you need to remember? Number 1, AI is probabilistic. It deals in maybes. 2, data quality is absolutely everything. Garbage in, garbage out. 3, explainability isn't a feature, it's the foundation of trust. And finally, number 4, always, always, always connect your model's performance back to real, tangible business value. And that's it. You made it through the crash course. You now have that core foundational knowledge that really separates a good PM from a great AI PM. So the only question I have left for you is, now that you know this stuff, what are you going to go build?
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and click the notification button for more great content.